Welcome back to CIA Declassified. We're stepping forward into the pressurized hallways of 1955. The Cold War is no longer just a standoff, it is an arms race of information. The Pentagon is a maze of competing interest, and the White House is desperate for a God's eye view of the Kremlin. But the U-2 is a weapon of such extreme sensitivity that it cannot be left to the standard cogs of the military machine. It needs a sanctuary, a place where the rules of gravity and government don't apply. This was the inception of Project Chess. It was the organizational blueprint that established the Development Projects Division, or DPD. This division was granted unprecedented autonomy, allowing a small group of Grandmasters to control everything from pilot recruitment to the procurement of specialized fuel without ever leaving the secure confines of the agency's inner sanctum. Why the designation Project Chess? In the world of high-stakes intelligence, the metaphor was literal. The reason for the name stems from the control and strategy requirements of the overflights. Because every mission required a delicate balance of political risk, technical capability, and security, the planners viewed the globe as a game board where assets, the pieces, had to be moved with mathematical precision. Furthermore, the name reflected the multi-tiered security clearance system established by the division. Only those with chess clearances were allowed to see the full board, ensuring that even if a pawn was compromised, they would have no knowledge of the king's ultimate objectives. The reality of Project Chess is a record of administrative audacity. Let's intermix the cold hard facts with the voices of those who lived within the hive. Project Chess was the organizational umbrella for the CIA's involvement in high-altitude reconnaissance. A quote from a declassified file and a redacted name for a senior DPD administrator. We operated like a private corporation with a government-sized checkbook and 0 shareholders to answer to. End quote. Records prove that Richard Bissell was the primary architect of the chess organizational structure. Documentation confirms that the division bypassed the standard Air Force procurement chain to speed up the development of the U-2. A quote from a declassified DPD memo: "If we needed a new camera lens, we didn't file a 3-year requisition. We wrote a check and had it in a week." End quote. The agency utilized project-specific security clearances where chess was the highest level of access for U-2 data. Records confirm that the division was located in a nondescript building in Washington known as Bissell's Institute. A quote from a declassified field report and a redacted security officer: "The bureaucracy was our armor. If no one knew who we reported to, no one could stop us." End quote. Logs prove that chess was the first time the CIA commanded its own fleet of aircraft independently of the military. The agency used ad hoc committees to make mission go, no-go decisions in minutes rather than days. Records show the DPD handled the back-end logistics for the pilots, including the creation of fictional identities and civilian cover stories. A quote from a declassified report on division accounting: "We were building a secret air force from scratch, and the blueprints were mostly financial." End quote. The office established a direct line to the White House, bypassing the Secretary of Defense on operational matters. Documentation reveals that Project Chess employed more analysts than pilots to process the take from the missions. Internal memos confirm the division created a specialized courier network to move film from overseas bases directly to Washington. Records prove that Chess system prioritized compartmentalization above all other administrative functions. A quote from a declassified staff orientation paper: "In the DPD, you only knew what you needed to know, and usually that was less than you wanted to know." End quote. The agency utilized black budget funds that were vouchered internally to avoid public disclosure. Reports show the division coordinated with Lockheed to ensure contractor support was integrated into the chain of command. Documentation shows the office monitored the mental fitness of every staff member within the chess circle. Logs indicate that the division managed the cover story unit responsible for explaining U-2 crashes as weather mishaps. The agency utilized secure teletype links that were dedicated solely to chess operational traffic. Records confirm that the chess protocol was applied to the subsequent Oxcart and Corona programs. Internal memos reveal the agency fired personnel for even minor security infractions to maintain the integrity of the project. Reports prove that the division managed the pilot selection board with a focus on psychological resilience. Documentation reveals that Project Chess utilized proprietary companies to mask the purchase of high-octane jet fuel. The agency established a special legal counsel within the DPD to handle the legalities of international overflights. Records prove the CIA operated its own air traffic control for the secret corridors used by the U-2. Documentation shows that the chess master, the DCI, had final veto power over every mission profile. Internal files confirm the division developed the first automated flight tracking systems to monitor the U-2 in real time. Logs show the agency utilized microphotography for the storage of all chess personnel files to minimize physical footprints. A quote from a declassified debriefing: "We didn't just manage a plane, we managed the geopolitical risk of the entire nation." End quote. The agency utilized secure off-site storage for all film negatives that were deemed chess-only material. Records show the DPD coordinated the public relations shield that protected the agency from press inquiries. Internal memos reveal the agency calculated the diplomatic fallout cost for every successful or failed flight. Reports prove that the chess organizational structure served as the template for the National Reconnaissance Office. Documentation shows that the division utilized non-standard uniforms for ground crews to avoid military identification. The agency implemented a need-to-know audit every 30 days for every employee within the project. Records prove that the division controlled the distribution list for all high-altitude photography. A quote from a declassified tactical note: "The board was global, but the players were all in one room in D.C." End quote. The agency utilized psychological warfare specialists to help design the weather plane cover story. Records show that the division maintained a secret hangar network across the globe. Documentation confirms the agency utilized encryption pads unique to the chess lines. The agency tracked the emotional stability of the pilots' families through discreet surveillance. Internal files prove the division created the first digital databases for tracking aircraft maintenance and parts. Records show that chess personnel were forbidden from discussing their work with anyone outside of the division. The agency utilized shadow contracts where the true scope of work was hidden in fine print. Reports indicate the division managed the recovery teams tasked with cleaning up crash sites. Documentation shows that the Grandmaster's Gambit relied on the ability to deny the existence of the division itself. Internal memos confirm the agency utilized rapid response legal teams to handle international law. Logs show the chess project was independent of the CIA's standard Directorate of Plans. The DPD employed a system of security double checks where every document had to be signed by two different chess-cleared officers. A quote from a declassified recruitment file: "We weren't looking for the best pilots, we were looking for the best pilots who could disappear into a void." End quote. The agency established a secret payroll system called A-Funds specifically for foreign contractors who couldn't be linked to the DPD. Records show that the chess organizational structure included a technical services division that lived inside the DPD. Documentation reveals that the CIA purchased over 500 specialized K2 high-altitude cameras through a fictional civilian photography company. The agency utilized secure mobile processing units that could develop U2 film in the back of a truck while moving. Internal logs confirm that every chess analyst had a kill switch on their terminal to wipe data in case of a physical breach. Records show the DPD controlled the basing agreements with foreign governments, often bypassing the State Department. To ensure absolute secrecy, the DPD used one-time pad ciphers for all mission launch orders sent to overseas bases. A quote from a declassified administrative file: "The amount of paper we burned every night would have heated a small city." End quote. The agency created a secret insurance pool to provide the families of pilots who went missing, during their overflights. Records prove that the chess system excluded the Joint Chiefs of Staff from the initial planning of the Soviet overflights. The DPD utilized secure voice encryptors that were so heavy they had to be mounted on reinforced desks in Washington. Documentation confirms that the division managed the Operation Aquatone budget, which reached over $50 million in 1950s dollars. The agency utilized false flag logistics companies to move U2 components across international borders. A quote from a declassified DPD file: "The division wasn't just a job, it was a religion of silence." End quote. Records show that the chess clearance level was actually higher than top secret in terms of administrative control. The agency utilized microfiche to store the flight logs of over 100 successful Soviet overflights. Internal files confirm the division managed the secret Area 51 testing site before it was officially a military installation. The DPD created a security education unit whose only job was to test the loyalty of its own members. Reports show that Project Chess integrated Navy and Air Force personnel directly into its civilian structure. The agency developed a specialized recruitment process within chess to identify Air Force pilots who had few remaining family ties. Records prove that the DPD operated its own blackmail system for internal staff to ensure that any potential leaks could be mitigated before they occurred. Documentation confirms that Richard Bissell maintained a personal safe containing the real mission results that were never known to the Air Force. The agency utilized non-disclosure agreements for janitorial staff that carried the penalty of lifetime imprisonment for a single breach. Internal logs show that the DPD purchased massive amounts of silver for the film developing process using shell foundries in the Midwest. The DPD operated a double-blind logistics chain where the pilot and the ground crew never officially knew each other's real names. Records show the division controlled the target selection board for every overflight, prioritizing military bases in the Ural Mountains. A quote from a declassified file in a redacted name for an officer: "We didn't just build a division, we built a culture of absolute clinical isolation." End quote. Despite the wealth of data, the heart of the file remains frozen. The most guarded secrets of the Project Chess administrative files are located in the Executive Action Protocols Section 9. In the official declassified record, over 400 pages are entirely blacked out. The reason provided for these redactions is Exemption B3 statutory protections, claiming the release would expose intelligence sources and methods that remain vital for the modern structure of the intelligence community today. Then there is the parallel presidency theory. From the darker corners of political science comes a whisper that those 400 pages detail a secret succession plan This isn't documented fact, but many speculate that Project Chess established a shadow command structure meant to operate the nation's high-tech assets, even if the official government were incapacitated. According to this speculation, the redactions hide the fact that the DPD was a pilot program for a breakaway bureaucracy that operates outside of constitutional oversight to this very day. Then there's the agent provocateur conspiracy. There are even grimmer theories suggesting the redactions cover internal cleansing operations. This line of speculation holds that the chess protocols included the authorized elimination of any staff member who threatened to break cover. Some believe the blacked out pages contain the authorization codes for domestic neutralization teams tasked with ensuring the U2's secret never left the division, no matter the cost in American blood. Then there's the alien hardware integration rumor. It's persistent, it's a bit fringe, and it suggests the U2 program was a cover for reverse engineered technology. Speculators claim the redacted pages detail how the chess organizational structure was designed to manage the integration of non-human materials. In this view, the redactions aren't about the Soviets at all, but about hiding the off-world origins of the U2's high-altitude performance and the Grandmasters who managed that secret. Then there's the psychotronic command theory. It's a fourth one, and it involves enhanced decision-making. Some theorists believe the blacked-out pages detail experiments in using neural links or specialized cognitive drugs to help division leaders process intelligence at inhumane speeds. The speculation is that the chess name referred to a biodigital strategy where the commanders were physically or chemically augmented to play the global game with an unfair advantage. And lastly, there is the precognitive analyst Gambit theory. Some whisper of this final, more esoteric conspiracy. It suggests the redacted pages detail a precognitive analysis unit within the DPD. The theory suggests that the agency wasn't just using analysts, they were using sensitives to predict Soviet movements before they happened, effectively turning the chessboard into a game where the agency already knew the final score. The redactions allegedly hide the fact that the DPD's efficiency was due to extrasensory intelligence rather than just good management. Was Project Chess a success? Tactically, it was a bureaucratic triumph. It proved that a small, agile division could outperform the entire military-industrial complex in speed and secrecy. Strategically, it was the institutional blueprint. It created the template for every black project that followed. The division successfully managed to launch and operate a global reconnaissance program for years before the first plane was ever publicly identified. It proved that compartmentalization is the ultimate security feature. Ultimately, it was a success because it allowed the agency to gather the data that prevented World War III without being bogged down by the red tape of democracy. The success is further evident in how the DPD model was adopted by the NRO and later the Special Access Program structures of the modern era. It successfully protected the president by providing him with plausible deniability through a labyrinth of administrative dead ends. The project succeeded in turning the CIA from a mere analysis house into a global operator. It effectively redefined what it meant to have a secret government that could act with the speed of a business and the authority of a nation. The success of chess meant that the most sensitive secrets of the Cold War remained secret for decades after the missions ended. Furthermore, it demonstrated that the CIA could manage high-tech procurement better than the Air Force, a success that fundamentally shifted the balance of power in Washington. It was the ultimate institutional victory, proving that a shadow bureaucracy could be more efficient than the light of day. It was the ultimate gambit, sacrificing traditional transparency for total operational control. As far as operational and technological breakthroughs go, Project Chess resulted in breakthroughs that define modern Black Ops management, such as ad hoc project autonomy. The creation of independent strike teams within a larger government. Today, this is used in the Joint Special Operations Command to manage sensitive counter-terrorism missions with minimal oversight. Tiered compartmentalized clearance systems. The development of need to know as a hard administrative barrier. Well, that paved the way for modern special access programs that protect the nation's most sensitive cyber and nuclear secrets. Public-private security integration, the seamless blending of corporate contractors with government agents. Today, this is used in the Defense Innovation Unit to rapidly pull civilian technology into military applications. And real-time operational audit trails, the use of secure internal tracking for unvouchered funds. This technology is the foundation for modern blockchain intelligence ledgers used to track funding in hostile territories without a paper trail. Project Chess reminds us that the most powerful weapon in the world isn't a plane or a bomb, it's the way we organize our secrets. The project proved that a few focused minds, given enough money and enough autonomy, can move the world like a pawn on a board. We are still living in the world of the Grandmaster's Gambit, where the structure of our government is often a puzzle designed to be impossible to solve from the outside. Every time a black budget is passed or a new special access program is created, it is a move made in the shadow of chess. The Grandmasters of the 1950s taught us that to win the game, you don't just play by the rules, you build the table yourself. Their legacy is the silent, efficient, and often invisible hand that still guides the high-tech defense of the nation. The board is still being watched, and the next move is already planned. We are merely the spectators to a game that began 70 years ago in a windowless room in DC. The legacy of chess is that the truth is always managed, never revealed. Thanks for listening. Watch your move, and remember, if you can see the board, you're probably just a piece. Join us next time as we examine MK Week. In the darkest corners of behavioral science, the agency didn't just study people, they mapped the cracks in the human psyche. We'll uncover the facts behind MK Week, the systematic identification of vulnerabilities in target subjects. It was a war of pressure and persuasion. Join us next time for The Hinge of the Soul. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.